Here's the segue to our next guest. Gregg Zaun played 16 seasons in Major League Baseball, won a World Series, and he's a good and longtime friend of ours. And here's the segue, is that we know that he's a Rough Riders fan too, or at least the last I talked to him he was. Zaun, good day. Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show, my man. You're looking fantastic.
I am feeling fantastic, my friend. How are you?
Good. Look, I know you talked to our producer, Clark, about are we going to talk Riders with Rod today. No, I brought you on for World Series. But what is your take on the green and white here right now?
I'm pretty pumped with green and white. Are you kidding me? It's about time since they were top level. In fact, I was there in Regina watching them win the Grey Cup. Is the last time I thought they were any good. So I'm looking for my helmet right now. It's probably downstairs in the basement. I'm going to send my wife down there to get it. It's over on the left side, honey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I had that helmet. I have a helmet that you wore anyways down here, Zani. So now they're rolling 11-5, and it looks like they could be back in the Grey Cup, which ironically is in Calgary. Do you want to tell any stories about Calgary Grey Cup? That's where the Zaun entourage was born.
That's right. That was my first Grey Cup, 2009, I believe.
Yep.
Jamie Campbell takes me to Grey Cup, and I remember we checked into the hotel. I don't remember if it was a Marriott or a Sheraton, wherever the Spirit of Edmonton party was. And people looked at me like I had three heads. They're like, Gregg Zaun, what are you doing here? I'm like, same as you, going to the Grey Cup. It was my first time. And I remember, I've been to the Super Bowl a number of times. I've hosted those fancy parties that people wait hours in line to get in. One time I'm hosting a party with Shannon Elizabeth, Rosario Dawson, Tara Reid. We got guys like Deion Sanders showing up. It was crazy. I go to Grey Cup, and Jamie and I walk down to the front of the line. We're chatting up the guy there who's doing security, and all of a sudden, I say to him after about 10, 12 minutes, I say, what's the deal with us getting into the party? He's like, back of the line's over there, and I thought, all right, I like this place. They're going to make me wait in line like everybody else, but thank God there were people at the back of the line that had beers for us. And so, I got my Riders helmet, yeah. So, it's ready. It's ready to make a comeback. Also keeps me nice and warm when I'm dressed up in my green Carhartt sitting out there freezing my tuchus off.
All right. Oh, I feel like we got a lot to get to with you, Zaun, because I haven't talked to you for a while. But as I said, it is World Series topic. Game 1 tonight, Washington going into Houston. Did you see this matchup coming, by the way? At what point did you realize this was going to happen? These are the two teams that are the best in baseball.
Yeah, once Washington, got past the first round, I thought, holy smokes, that's a scary ball club. They're old school as far as the way they're built. They're built on starting pitching. They've got really, really good starting pitching. If they get any kind of offense and they catch the baseball, that's a tough team to beat. You can't win if you don't score. The only thing that works against them is the fact that Houston's very well rounded. They're a better offensive ball club. They catch the baseball. They're very athletic, and about their starting pitching. I mean, when Zach Greinke's the weak link in your starting rotation, you're in pretty good shape. Verlander, Garrett Cole, that matchup tonight's going to be sick. Garrett Cole versus Scherzer, that's going to be some good old-fashioned, country hardball. You're going to see some mid-90s plus with some movement, lots of mixing and matching. I'm never sure what we're going to see on a baseball diamond, but I would not be surprised to see a very, very low-scoring game.
Greg Marshall here. I don't have a Grey Cup or a World Series question at the time, but I'm noticing what you're wearing right now, which is certainly toned down from what I'm used to watching you when you're on television. But my question for you, and this is certainly not a criticism, it's more of a compliment, but you wear very flamboyant outfits, and I'm just wondering who is your fashion coordinator?
That would be me. I've always worn a suit in a much more flamboyant way. And honestly, it's little man syndrome. When you walk into a room with a bunch of 6'4" Adonis looking guys, and you're dealing with this, the only chance you have for any sort of attention from the fairer sex is look better in suits, celebrating. And so I came up in a generation of players that we wore a suit on the plane. We wore a sport coat and slacks to the ballpark in my first couple of years. And that was policy. Now the guys go to the ballpark looking like hobos. They got holes in their jeans, and they're 3 sizes too small, wearing these skinny things with half of their derrieres hanging out of their pants. They don't look like professionals. They look like amateurs. And so all throughout my career, I always wore a suit on the road. Even when it wasn't policy, I tried to get my teammates and even my coaches, Gibby, to step up their game with regards to what they were wearing on the road. We're going on a business trip, and you should look like a businessman when you're going on a business trip. So I figured, you know what, I'm not going to just wear blue and boring stuff. I loved it. Some of the stuff worked. Some of it was popular. At the end of the day, love me, hate me, agree with me, disagree, tune in to see what I'm going to wear, but you're tuning in, and that was the main goal, was to make sure that people kept tuning in.
I do remember driving to Strasburg and back with you, and I said, how do you feel about being called the Don Cherry of baseball? And you said, I'm not the Don Cherry of baseball. I'm better dressed. So anyways, back to the World Series. Tell me about Dave.
Please.
Tell me about Dave Martinez.
This could be a job-saving run through the postseason. About halfway through the year, there were rumblings that if this guy didn't make the playoffs, he was going to be let go as manager. It's an interesting dynamic. Some guys undermanage, some guys overmanage, some guys know exactly how to deal with their ball club, and obviously it's second year, third year for Dave. He's settling in quite nicely with the group that he's got. It helps having talented players. Trust me, they make the dumbest managers look really smart. And that's not my quote. That's Jimmy Leland right there. Good players make managers look awfully smart. And you can't go wrong with quality starting pitching. They've got some star offensive players, and that group as a collective, minus Bryce Harper going to the World Series, tells you all you need to know about them and about how small the impact of one player can be if it's the wrong guy. I mean, when you look at Harper and his exit from the franchise, certainly he didn't have a Bryce Harper like here. Still hit 30+ homers, still drove in 100+ runs, but not quite what the Phillies were asking for. But is it an accident that the Washington Nationals find themselves in the World Series a year minus Harper? In my opinion, no, because when you have star names like that in your lineup, and I'm not taking anything away from Anthony Rendon. This guy's an absolute stud. But I think a lot of people pick up the pace. They pick up the slack. They're like, all right, well, it's going to be tough to replace a guy like that. But you know what? If we all step our games up collectively a little bit, we can make up for that loss. And they certainly have. They were a different ball club in the second half, and their pitching is going to take them as far as they can go. Or I should say they're only going to go as far as that starting pitching takes them. They're not going to outslug the Houston Astros.
Zani, I could go all night. I'm going to try and fire 3 quick ones at you. But one, the Nationals haven't played in a week. I saw a report from your buddy Arash this morning that the Nationals think that's a problem. Some of them liked it. Where do you stand on that big of a rest between the League Championship Series and the World Series?
It's not good. I've never seen it work in any team's favor. You develop a certain rhythm. I think, to me, anything more than 48 hours is way too long to wait. And you run the risk, like if you want to do inter-squad games or try, live batting practice or whatever, that can be dangerous. All of a sudden, one gets away from somebody and one of your star players gets injured in an inter-squad game. That's why you don't see too many teams do it, and it's why it's difficult to stay sharp against a 50-mile-an-hour fastball. Guys have to find interesting ways. The rust will start to settle onto a baseball player. You get into an ebb and a flow, a rhythm, and the rhythm of the season is what keeps you going.
You got a prediction on series length and who will win?
Yeah, Houston in 5. I think Washington will win one game, like maybe tonight, but I think Houston's going to outlast them, and I think it's going to be over fairly quick.
Okay, and I saw either this morning or last night on Facebook, you said Morgana, the infamous kissing bandit. Marshall, you'd know who that is. Got you. Where was it?
You got me. 1993, we were technically the Bowie Bay Sox, but we were playing in Memorial Stadium. It was the year after the Orioles moved over to Camden Yards, and nobody told me it was coming. I knew who she was. I knew what would happen if I ever saw her. And sure enough, she came trotting out onto the field when I was up at the plate, and I of course put up no resistance whatsoever. It was a privilege and a pleasure to get the kissing bandit more.
And no kidding. Darren, do you know who that is, by the way?
No.
Morgana, the kissing bandit.
You said kissing bandit. I just thought Adriano Belli. That's the only thing I thought of.
She doesn't look like Adriana. Google her. And yeah,
It's a little bit like Dolly Parton.
a lot like Dolly Parton.
I will
yes.
Google her.
Yeah, now Zauni, thanks for this as always, my man. Love seeing what you're doing there. My best to Michelle, and let's keep in touch.
Hey, go Riders, baby. Come on now.
You got it.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.